I'm a little bit later getting my garlic planted this year, but you know, only by a couple of weeks. But that's fine, because basically, as long as I get my garlic in before the ground is completely frozen, then I'm good to go. And it's handy because I can tell you about some things while I do this. Now, I have grown garlic with you guys every year for years, and I've done all sorts of different ways of doing it. I've grown them in my raised bed and discovered that I had one spot in my raised bed that doesn't drain as well as the rest, and that caused me some problems. In fact, I lost quite a lot of garlic one year to rot. As you guys know, we were just losing one after the other. It was just this end of the bed just seemed to be rotting away. So everything just looked awful. So I've just pulled it all. There are 3 maybe potential bulbs, but I don't think they've split into cloves. I think they've just been issues this year. I've grown them in pots and troughs and had fantastic results from that. I've grown them in the fabric pots, or some people call them grow bags, and had awful results doing it that way. So lots of experience there. And the thing is, each year I've done this, I've made lots of notes in my journal, and I've made notes of what I've done differently each year, and I know what works and what doesn't work. So of course, I've always brought you along from the journey and told you all of my tips. So we're doing something a bit of a change again this year, sort of. So I said to you that I grew all my garlic in pots and troughs one year, and I had fantastic results. Technically, I'm doing the same thing again this year. I'm growing my garlic in pots, but I figure I've got greenstalks, and the whole purpose of them is to help save space in my garden so that I can fit other things in my beds. So why not use it for my garlic? Because basically it's just a container, it's just a pot. So that's what I'm doing. Now, I have got this little one here. It's not a full-size greenstalk. We call it the green stump. Basically, it's just some spare bits I had because I made a smaller one over there for flowers. We call that the tower of flower, as well as the big full-size one. But it means I can use this one for just random bits and bobs. Like last year, we filled it with lettuce. This year, I'm going to fill it with garlic. So, I have already gone through and I have chosen all of my best, biggest cloves. Because that's the thing, if you want really big garlic at the end, you want to start with the biggest cloves you've got because they're already quite far on. So hurrah! And as always, I'm growing hardneck garlic. So my 2 favourite varieties are Kingsland White and Extra Early White. These are my 2 favourite varieties. Always hardneck, because hardneck, a bit more reliable for my climate, and you get scapes, which is the best thing. It's like getting 2 harvests, because a few weeks before you harvest your actual garlic bulbs, you get these long flower tendrils that you can harvest and cook with, and they're fabulous. So that's why I like hardneck garlic. So all I'm going to do is exactly the same as usual. Like I say, I've chosen my best, biggest cloves, because your whole bulb will grow from this one little clove. I've discarded any that looked a bit ropey. So there were a couple that looked a bit soft and squishy, they got binned, and one that definitely had started to rot. I could see the mould on it, that's been binned. You don't want to start with any of the stuff that isn't ideal, isn't perfect, isn't beautiful and fat and solid and ready to go. That's what you want. Now, easy way to tell what you're doing here, let me see. This is a good example. With your garlic cloves, you've got the pointy end and a flat hard end. This flat hard end is where the roots come from. So you plant your garlic with that down, pointy end up. And you don't want to plant them too deep. You only want to go maybe an inch or 2 below the surface. And the reason for that is, and this is great, because one of the questions I keep getting just now, especially from all of our Scottish viewers who are worried, they all want to put their garlic in the greenhouse to get it going quickly, to give it a kickstart for next year. But this might be the one time I tell you, no, don't do that. I get why you want to, but garlic needs the cold. These little guys need to be sitting out here in winter for a few months of proper cold and freeze and horrible frosty nastiness, because it's that cold that makes them all perfect and bulb-like and lots of little cloves. Rather than some of mine last year were just like bulb-sized single pieces of garlic, which is very interesting for cooking with. You kind of have to chop a bit off that you think looks a bit clove-sized. So if you want to make sure it splits, which is what we call it, and gives you lots of little cloves, well, hopefully the big fat juicy cloves, but lots of cloves in your bulb, your garlic wants the cold. Basically, you can plant this any time up until your ground freezes. Obviously, a bit difficult to plant once the ground's frozen. And what will happen is this will just do its wee thing over winter, and when it's ready, it will start putting out those roots and getting settled, and then it'll put out a shoot, and in spring, early spring, you'll start to see these come to life. And I hope I will be harvesting this guy maybe in July. So let's get them in here then. Garlic needs nice, free draining soil. They don't like sitting in the wet. So you want it to be nice and free draining. So that's the first thing I've done. I've put in, I've taken out the compost that I used for growing last year, and I've taken all the sort of bits of root and all that kind of stuff out of there. I've added some fresh compost to give it some more nutrition, and I've added lots of vermiculite to help it to be really free draining. I've also added some fish blood and bone in there, because garlic likes a lot of nutrition, a lot. So since I'm growing this in a pot and not on my raised beds, I will actually be feeding this later on, because it's going to use up all the nutrition in here quite fast. But that's fine. I'll just feed it with tomato feed is usually what I use. So there we go. Simple as that. Let's get them planted. Because this is really soft, I can actually just push them in there. Now, if I'm going to do this, so I know where I started. There we go. Now, you might sometimes get one that's just started to sprout. That's fine, don't worry about it. You can still use them, pop them in, and they should start to produce roots and kind of catch up with itself. There we go. Now, I'm interested to see how the garlic grows in this. I don't know what to expect. I did have a bit of a nosy online, and I couldn't see any videos where other people had grown their garlic in their greenstalks, that's what these are called. I couldn't see any where they were actually showing you the outcome. So this will be a bit of fun. So there we go. In we go. And I've chosen to go with one clove for each of these pockets. I hummed and I hawed, and I've chosen to go with one because I want really nice big garlic at the end, and the more space it has, the better. So you know when I said to you that garlic likes a lot of nutrition, it also likes a lot of water, and if you plant them too close together, they'll compete with each other and you'll get smaller bulbs at the end. Now I think that's me round in a full circle. Yes, it is. So we're on to the bottom. There we go. Last ones. Pointy end up. There we go. Planted, it's dead easy. I'm going to give this a good old soak now. Now, for this first time, just to get it all settled in and get that garlic moist so that it'll start to grow, I'm actually going to water these pockets. Normally, with these type of vertical pot systems, you actually water from the top and it has got an integral watering system. But just this once, I'm going to soak each of these individual pots just to get it started. Now we wait. So then, for all of you who are excited now to be getting your garlic in the ground, would it help to have a video that's all of my top tips, all of the things I've learned over the years to help you get the very best garlic you can, the biggest, fattiest, juiciest bulbs at the end? I got you guys. Video here you can click on, or there's a link in the pinned comment. That's the video that's got all of my top tips. It's purely about getting the best garlic you can. See you folks.